What's up, everybody? Good evening. Happy Thursday. Thank you guys for joining. Got the investment blueprint, our traditional Thursday night. Tonight, we are interviewing. What's going on, King? Tonight, we are interviewing brick house builders. There we go. Don't forget if you don't have. What's going on? Don't forget if you don't have your tickets for the investment blueprint, tickets are still available. What's going on, Betha? What's going on?
What's up?
How are you?
I am great. How are you doing?
I'm good. I'm good. Thank you.
Are you recording this or should I screen record?
So I'll save it to my page, and then when I pull it to the YouTube page, I can send it to you.
All right, cool.
But if you want to screen record, don't not do it because I'm gonna save it. It's up to you.
All right, cool.
So you got it. Go ahead.
Awesome. Well, thanks for having me here.
No problem. Thanks for giving your Thursday night to us. I appreciate it. I've been admiring your work from afar. I've heard a few of your interviews with Better Than Success with the Queen Nicole Purvey. So it was only right. Eventually, I got to catch up and get you. So I appreciate you joining. For those who don't know, my name is Anthony A. Lee, real estate licensed agent with the Good Neighbor Real Estate team. One half of the members of the Investment Blueprint, which is October 30th. That is going to be a out the best event of the year to close out the year, October 30th at the Crown Plaza. So hit the link in my bio. If you don't have your ticket, it's going to have the all-stars in there like Haitian CEO, Newt the entrepreneur, and Coco, and so many other people that are killing it in their space of business. But tonight we have another young queen who is killing it, fixing. Well, you don't do fix and flip, you do buy and hold.
I do both. So actually, I'm not currently doing any fix and flips, but that's what I did for the first few years.
Okay. Well, you go ahead
and
and
get into it.
The people who may not know you. Don't let me mess it up.
You want me to do an intro?
You can. Yeah, I always let my guests go ahead and introduce yourself. Let them know for the people who don't know you.
Sure. So my company's Brick House Builders. I started in 2016. The Spark Notes is I read Rich Dad Poor Dad, and I got obsessed with financial literacy and investing. And I knew from a very young age that I wanted to be an entrepreneur. I wanted to run my own business. I didn't have the privilege of having capital. So I started to, show up to all those free seminars and read all the books and did as much as I could to absorb all of the information accessible online for free when it comes to real estate investing. And it took a few years to finally build up the courage, but by using private money through friends and family and construction financing through banks, I was able to purchase 3 different properties in my first year, which I renovated and sold. So those I had investors and partners, and with that capital from those flips, I would dump those right into rentals. So
Can we time out real quick? Because you said so. Been in the business since 2016. Initially, you came in as a flipper. So can you talk about? Let's talk about where the motive. So you said Rich Dad Poor Dad gave you the inspiration, or gave you at least the opportunity to know like there's something else out there.
Right, like planted the bug.
Right. That's where it started. Then you went to other events. And I guess like my question would be, what like told you like, hey, I can do this? Where'd you get that confidence or courage to start out like, yo, I can do this? Because did you go to college, or what was your...
I did go to college. So for quite a long time, I like knew that I wanted to do real estate, but I didn't have the confidence for it. And everyone around me who I respected advised me against it. So
Wow.
they wanted me to do the safer thing. They wanted me to go to college and get that good full-time stable job and start my 401k and do all that safe stuff. So it took a long time to finally get off of that path. After I had checked all the boxes, I went to college, I got the job, and I was still not fulfilled. And I also was still obsessed with real estate. Like I had, at the time I was working this full-time job, and the person who hired me, who had become a mentor in this field, you know, he came up to me one day and he was like, your heart is not here. Your heart's in real estate.
Mm,
And he's like, as much as I want you to stay at this job, I'd really love to see you go chase after your dreams.
nice.
And that was like pivotal. Like I keep in touch with this person to this day. But another big thing, which is like super corny and super cheesy, but I'll be honest about it, I like would spend all of my free time watching these like YouTube motivational videos. You know, I got really into you know, all of the big time motivational speakers, Gary Vee,
My man Eric
Eric
Thomas.
Thomas.
Oh,
Yeah,
yeah,
like I was in high school when I saw the Eric Thomas video of
the
him
one that
telling us, of him saying, when
you
you want
can't
to
breathe.
breathe as
Yep.
bad as you want to be successful. And that stayed with me. And I would when I showered in the morning, I would listen to these things. I'd be in the shower and I'd be like, I'm a beast, you know, like all this like, and it like swapped out my thoughts eventually, you know.
Right.
And I definitely, you know, I spent all my time like surrounding myself with people who were doing the things that I wanted to do. I was using Bigger Pockets and other platforms for networking, and I stopped going out drinking with my friends, and I started going to coffee with other investors.
Wait.
And
So time out right there, right? So in order to get you there to break the mold, you had to give something up. So you sacrificed early, and I'll take a guess or a bet. Your friends that are stayed the course, worked at 9 to 5, didn't invest in real estate, they now want to invest in real estate, don't they?
oh, for sure. You know, well, it's funny, and like um, you know, it makes like my heart so full to see my mom and dad proud of me, and all these people like so
Yeah,
proud of me. But you know, they weren't proud of me until they saw that I was, you know, doing okay.
right. They
And
needed
like
the
there's nothing wrong
result.
with that. There's
Right.
nothing wrong with it. But also it's like, yeah, it's, you know, all of a sudden everyone's so proud, you know.
Julia's like, I appreciate it, but I'm also saying like I was trying to tell you guys and nobody wanted to listen. I was the crazy person.
Yeah, for real.
No, so I definitely understand and relate to that. And I think that's how a lot of us, first generation entrepreneurs, it's a it's a challenge within your immediate circle. And we talk about this with like other friends, like your environment can almost push you, inspire you, or it can hinder you. But again, you got to be determined to figure out what's going to work for you and be okay with being uncomfortable, being the odd person or the person that's not going to the clubs or not
And
part.
that's hard. Like saying no on a Friday night to like, you
You're
know, I'm here
number
like
Thompson and looking at houses for sale instead of going to happy hour.
mm-hmm. Yep. I tell the story of like I lived in this one bedroom house, and my living room was just covered with like post-it notes and signs, and like the equation for a cap rate, and like all this vocabulary that like I hadn't known. And I just would walk in the room, and you know, it was like I would spend so much time in this room just like immersing myself in wanting to know more and wanting to know more. And
But that I would say too, that comes from ET. Because I remember in my earlier years when I was listening to ET be like, you gotta want it all. Like it has to become you. And the funny thing is with real estate, especially in the beginning, it consumes you to the point like even those motivational people like, yo, I only wear one outfit, like the same clothes every day. They don't about it. Or I tell people at one point I was shaving my head because I didn't want to spend that money and lose no time at the barbershop.
right.
So
Yep.
definitely salute to you. So you took that, and then I also feel like you went big, or what I would say was really nice, or like dope of you to get the private funding because you said they didn't believe in you, but you did find people that would partner with you, and then you did flips. Were they successful flips?
Yeah. I mean, I've yet to have as good as a deal as my very first one.
Okay,
And
that
it's like
you on the mat.
it's so wild because it's like, you know, I'm a firm believer now, of course, as things work out, it's like you're exactly where you're supposed to be, like at at every moment, and like everything's working out for you. And you know, I like have you know, like the spiritual side of me is like, I was questioning and doubting myself so much at that time, and the universe was like proving in a really, really big way that like, this is for you. You
Okay.
got this. And like, I don't think I'll ever have a deal that good, but it like, the signs were clear, like, this is for you, you know. Because I honestly didn't know if I'd make money. I didn't know if it would work. I'm like standing in the Home Depot aisle picking out stuff that I liked, and I'm like, I don't know if anybody else is gonna like this, you know. Like, I had no idea what I was doing.
Okay. So you design all your projects and run your projects as well, right?
I do. Yep.
That's dope. So can you talk about that a little bit on how, because we had somebody ask us last night, is it hard for females to get in real estate? And I mean, you've proven that it's not hard. You just got to get in there. But then you also manage your own projects. And I take it you work with male and female contractors?
I mean, honestly, it's mostly male. And like, I don't want to say that it's not hard. It's exceptionally hard. But also, you know, I always like to say, like, pick your hard, you know, like this is really hard. But also, in my mind, what's harder is being at a full-time job until I'm 50.
Mm-hmm.
Every day, 5 days a week for the rest of my life. That sounds really, really hard. Like waking up and like for someone else every day, I'm like, that's the hard that I don't want. I'll take this hard every day. Like,
I get.
and you know, it's all figure outable, you know, like I did like, you kind of like go through the motions and like build connections with the right people and like find, you know, there's a lot of contractors that I am not able to work with because they don't have the capacity to respect a woman and on a construction site. They just can't do
Wow.
it. And like, that's cool. Next, you know, thank you, next.
Right. I'll take my money somewhere else.
Right. And then,
So,
you know, right now I'm working with a few people that are like, at least once a day, like remind me how grateful they are to have the opportunity to work with me. And like, if there's ever a mistake, they're like, I won't let you down again. I won't do this again. And like, it takes a while to like find these people, but like, you don't want to work with people who don't believe in you and don't like,
respect and support you.
yeah. And like, my dad was a big like influence for me. He had always had his own business his whole life, and you know, as a little kid, I'd watch him like leave super early and go to work and like hustle, and like I watched him like build all this wealth, and you know, it was just kind of like he would tell me certain things that would stick with me, and a few of those things were like, you know, you never want to be the smartest person in a room. You always want to sit next to the person. You always want to talk to, like, introduce yourself to the person next to you. And one thing that when it, I think it froze, but when it comes to business, as you grow, these people grow, and you need to have relationships that respect that you grow together. And when you're successful, they're successful. So that goes in a few different directions. And like, you don't want to be out here like not paying people good and screwing people over and being cheap, because like you're building these relationships and their success is your success. So you want other people
Right.
to do well too. But I say all this because being a woman and having these different dynamics with contractors, like you need to find the people that are willing to work with you in that manner of like, we're going to be successful together, and believe that you're capable of it too. Because there's still times that like people are like, oh, you're in real estate. What do you, secretary? Like, we're like, oh, you do construction. Like, where's your desk at? So I'm like, there's that.
I'm saying I can't believe it. I don't. God, they're still that pig-headed like that.
Yeah, it's wild. It's
Oh
great.
man.
I pulled into Home Depot recently, and this isn't the first time that, which is weird. This is a weird one, but this isn't the first time that someone said this to me. They asked me why I drive a truck, and women aren't supposed to drive trucks. And I'm like, where are you getting this from? So you just got to have the grit to like laugh and move on and be like, that's cute.
I got it. Yeah, people are crazy. People are weird. It's just like and you really had the audacity to ask me that question, like, please just move out my way, please.
Yes.
So with your rehabs, I guess, where do you get your inspiration? Because your projects are pretty dope.
So it's hard to say, but a big thing, I'm from the Pine Barrens of Jersey, so I have like this, kind of country, kind of like rustic side, and moving to the city, I kind of wanted to bring some of that in, and you know, I I kept telling myself, like, because I would find things that I really liked and no one else was doing it. But I tell myself, I'm like, I'm not that unique. If I like something, I'm not going to be the only one who likes it. Like, I'm not special. So, like, I
Right.
think that I am because no one else is doing it. But this stuff is at Home Depot. Come on. Like,
So
people are
somebody
buying
has to be
it.
thinking about it, right?
So, I just kept reminding myself, if I like it, someone else will like it. And, I had this idea that if my properties looked a little different than the other ones on the market, then I might be targeting a smaller pool of buyers, but the ones that I am targeting are going to be that much more certain about it. Like, you look at one, like, a lot of the houses are very, like, sterile, which is like fine. It's like an easy canvas for buyers. They can
Right.
do whatever they want. It's a lot of gray. It's a lot of white. But
It's
go say that again.
the rehab is safe. I like to call it safe.
Right. It's safe. So I do what's not so safe. But the first property that I mentioned, it sold. We had an open house the first day on the market. It was pouring rain. One person showed up, and that person bought the house.
Wow. So
One person saw that house.
that house was destined for that buyer because they were determined even to see it in the rain.
Yes. And
That's
then
what.
from there, it's been pretty similar. Like, I've never listed any of my properties through a realtor. And all realtors hit me up all the time. They're like, "Oh, I'd love the opportunity to work with you." And I'm like, as humbly as possible, my properties sell themselves. So that's the story with that, I'd say.
Okay, and then from there you've been pushing for the buy and holds. So I guess it's buy and hold. And why? I guess what pushed you to start doing buy and hold instead of just doing fix and flip?
Well, for me, the whole intention of getting into real estate was for the financial freedom, for the residual income, for building that generational wealth. And fix and flips are great for like getting capital fast, but once you sell it, that money is not going to grow anymore unless you do something with it. So at
Right.
the time when I first got started, I didn't have the capital to buy rental properties. So that's why I started doing flips, and I put the profit from those into rentals until I didn't have to anymore. And then I'm building my own capital and buying these rental properties and kind of like rinsing and repeating until I had enough capital and I had enough rental property to not have to do fix and flips anymore. But for me, the goal was to have a rental portfolio that was like, kind of set it and forget it, have, you know, that income coming in for, let's say, the rest of my life.
Mm-hmm.
And, to be transparent, I'm sure a lot of people who are listening know this, like, fix and flips are hard, like it takes a lot of time doing the project and managing the construction and getting it done on time, and then you're playing with the market and what's the value going to be at the end, is something going to happen, as well as once you are towards the end, it's like the punch lists that are coming up, any warranties, if it's new construction, or maybe the buyer's asking for a warranty. Now, all right, cool, I made 40 grand on this flip, and then 6 months later they're like, well, all this, they're like hitting you up every other day about some silly stuff, and like,
I'm not the only one who gets one of those phone
oh
calls like
my
a month or two later. It's like the most randomest thing.
god. So another thing is, so with comparing a flip to a rental, right? So if you're doing a rental, you have your final inspection with the city, which you would have regardless whether it was a flip or a rental. But you aren't having a home inspection. You aren't having someone coming through with blue tape and saying like, you have to like patch this little missing caulk on the trim, and like it gets really tedious, right? Like at that like final punch list. If it's a rental, you're like, it's a rental, you know? So there's some stuff that just flies because it's a rental.
Right.
You don't have to be as, you know, attention to
To the D.
detail, you know, it's like some things you're like, that's good enough, you
Okay.
know? So that's my take.
So with your rentals, are you doing your own property management, or do you sub that out?
I'm doing my own property management right now. I have a 5-unit building that I'm finishing up. That's going to be my first building that I have someone else manage for me.
Okay.
I'm excited for that.
Uh, I guess what was like what was now the deciding factor to go self-manage the property manager?
It's just finally like to the point where I feel like it's worth paying for it, because, you know, I live in one of my apartment buildings, and the building next door is in another apartment building of mine. So
Okay.
these are like easy to manage, you know, and there's no, whether I manage it or not, everybody knows I'm the owner. So if
So you
there's an
do let them
issue,
know you're the
I'm
owner?
like walking the dog and they're like,
Right.
hey, Julia, my washer machine broke. You know, so these ones have just been pretty easy to manage. And like adding the 5 units is now getting me to a level of income where, you know, pay the $500 a month to let someone else do it. You
I
know,
got
it's like, managing yourself is challenging when you have your personal phone number is the same as your business phone number, because most of your tenants are probably working 9 to 5, which means the time that they have to reach out to their landlord is not normal business hours. Or, you know, I've had a lot of instances like, for some reason, holidays and Sundays are real big days to reach out to your landlord, and like 11 o'clock at night, totally on the table to call me. Like, and I've just been, every time that happens, I'm like, I need to get a new phone number. I need to have someone else taking these phone calls, like one or the
right.
other, like stat.
Right.
So I'm excited for that.
Well, definitely wishing you luck with that. In regards to picking your tenants, can you give us any advice on, especially since they know you're the landlord, like how do you pick or screen your tenants, things that you look for to get a decent tenant?
Well, I mean, the most important thing is like using those third party screening services, which are getting your background checks, your credit checks, checking for evictions, checking for um, like any defaults, things like that. So that's usually the first thing that I do. And I'll tell this story real quick because, you know, I have more than once have set a rule for myself and broke it,
Mm.
and have like been shown very clearly that you had that rule for a reason, probably shouldn't
Right.
have done that. So I had the building next door to mine had a unit vacant, and I showed it to somebody who, when they applied, they had a car repo within the last few years on their credit, and they were very clear about living paycheck to paycheck, but they loved the apartment and they wanted to live here so bad. And I thought it was really sweet, and I really liked the person, and I was really rooting for them. I was like, I want them to live here,
Right.
and I know that they are going to take good care of it because they love it so much. And he was like, well, I have this much today. I get paid next Friday. I can have this much, and then before I move in, I get paid again. So you're saying I live paycheck to paycheck. And, you know, big ticket items when it comes to credit are, you know, utilities, cell phone, car, because these are things that are like livelihood items. So if
Right.
people are like defaulting on these big items, it's like a huge red flag. But I was like, oh, I'm really rooting for this guy, right? So he loses his job within 2 months of living there. And luckily, then COVID hit, and I was able to like apply for COVID relief for him, and I was getting paid rent the whole time. He had yet to get a job. He was living there for like a year and a half. Shame on me, but I never checked if he switched over the electric from my name to his name. So after a year and a half, I get this notice like, yo, you owe Pico a lot of money. And I called him, I'm like, this should be in this person's name. And they're like, no, he never changed it over. So I got the electric shut off. And he reached out and he was like, oh, well, he was like trying to find ways to like have me put it back in my name, and he was going to start paying me. And I was like, no, just call Pico and you can work it out with them and get it put in your name.
Yeah, not my problem.
Yeah. Right. So within a few weeks, the guy, like, you know, he doesn't have electric. It's the middle of summer. He has like a mental breakdown, completely vandalizes the apartment. He breaks into the other apartments in the building. He like breaks all the windows, like loses it. Cops come. He's like fighting the cops. It's like this huge ordeal. And the whole time I'm like, I should have just followed my rules, you know, like they're very simple rules. And I was like, all right, but I let emotion come into the play. And one of the biggest rules of real estate in general is that it's a numbers game and we can't let emotions get involved. And I did. So yeah, I mean, when it comes to tenant screening, it's like number one thing is, you know, just the big ticket items of like background check, credit check, all of that. I didn't do this before, but getting like bank statements or check stubs to show that they have 3 months of rent available. And, you know, a few little things. So like I pay attention to the way like people keep their cars, you know, like if it's something that's like, that means a lot to somebody, right? So like if there's cars covered in trash and it's like, you know, or even their home, I'm like, oh, well, I'll come to your house and we can sign the lease there. Then I'm like paying attention to like how they keep their home, because
Right.
this is a clear sign of like how they would care for my home that they're living in. So
Right. I do understand the car. My dad's a car fanatic, so he will judge you by your car and how you get it. So you one of those people that got a bunch of shoes, bunch of boots, and a bunch of stuff in the back seat of the car?
depends what day, you know. I got my detailer comes once a month, so I'm good for like a week. But like I also like my truck's my office too, you know.
Right.
I eat there, I do my paperwork there, make my phone calls, the dog's there.
Oh, yeah, see, at the end of the day, we got to keep them handy trash bags on the side. You just go ahead and smash it all in on the end of the
Right.
day.
Right.
But I'm no person really to talk about it, because my kids, I just was telling somebody, we go from basketball, karate, soccer, snacks, you name it. There's chicken nuggets in the back seat, all kind of stuff. And then like my days, like, Daddy, I got the lock. He's got the lock box in his hand.
Oh my
I'm like,
God.
put that down. I need that for later.
I knew exactly where that was.
Right. No, but that's dope. So for you, buy and hold, like, so what does your next 5 years look like? Because you sound like you're killing it. Like I said, I've been following your journey. Your rehabs are amazing. What's the vision? What does your road look like the next 5 years?
So the next 5 years are going to be a lot. So I always said that I needed 5 years to invest in real estate. You know, it's going to take me 5 years of hustle, build my portfolio. I was grinding for 5 years, and now I have my portfolio. I got some capital. I'm going to move a little differently, right? Like I was trying to pack as much work in a short period of time to expedite the point of financial freedom, right?
Okay.
So it's like, all right, well, I could, you know, work for 10 years and do a little bit of this, a little bit of that, or I can just like really grind. So right now I'm kind of shifting out of spending all like my day-to-days on doing things that are a little bit more fun, a little bit more enjoyable for my interior design company. I'm going to be building some other
Nice.
businesses. You know, I have a lot of fun building businesses. So I just started an environmental testing company recently that I'll be focusing on in the next few months. And, you know, I dumped a bunch of money in crypto, and if that takes off, I'll put it back into real estate, you know,
Nice.
kind of like cycle it through.
Right. So would you say like real estate's been able to build a solid foundation for you, and now you can actually like real estate's good, but now you can kind of venture out and test like what you really, really, really enjoy.
Right, exactly. And it's you believe in like always following your um like highest joy or whatever, wherever you feel pulled to. And for so long I was like so obsessed and so pulled to real estate, and I was so like I didn't have to force myself to do it. Like I was
Oh,
just waking up ready to go, and I would question it. I'm like, real estate isn't that sexy, like I don't know why I'm so excited about it. It's like I'm not a big math person, but like I like the numbers game. And there's not like, I don't know what it was, but I was like, I love this thing. And I did believe that like building the foundation was key, and that it was going to be, the ticket to financial freedom. And then now it's like, I don't have that right now. I don't have that anymore because I feel I'm now being pulled in different directions, and it's
right.
all in due time, right? Like I have, I think 16 units, and I'm good, you know? So I could keep going, or, for me, it's like financial freedom meant that um, my life is paid for and taken care of, and I don't need expensive things. I don't need, you know, 10 luxury cars or whatever. I'm like, I'm comfortable where all of my expenses are paid for and I can do whatever I want every day. And I don't have to think about whether
You
I'm
can
going to
pay them.
be able to afford it or not, you
Right,
know?
right.
So now that's the basis. And I'm 30. So it's not like I'm going to retire. What am I going to do? So I have this foundation, I have this basis of income, and now I can have fun with it. And now I can build these other businesses, and I can see, what's next.
Right. Nah, that's really dope to hear you say like, "Hey, I don't need 100 doors. I'm good here. I'll always still do real estate, but now I want to do some things that also just allow me to enjoy what I do every day, and it's not necessarily I'm gonna hustle, but it's a different hustle because it's more so an enjoyment and it's fulfilling."
Right. And I think Aisha Sheldon was a big, influence in this thought.
I'm,
But
yep.
I also like, I was working with somebody who, when I first got started, I was like, I want 500 doors, like my goals were so different than they are today.
Okay.
But I was working with somebody who had almost 200 doors. All of them were single family duplexes, triplexes. So he had a lot of buildings. He had a full-time office manager. He had full-time maintenance people. He was working from like 6 a.m. to midnight. And I'm like, I don't want, that's not financial freedom. Financial
Right.
freedom is like time freedom. And all of those properties were highly leveraged. They all had a mortgage on them.
Mm.
So I started thinking, I'm like, okay, well, I could have 150 units that all have a mortgage on them, which cash flows X amount, or I can have 20 units free and clear that cash flow the same. What's going to take more time? Like if I only
Right.
have 20 units, am I going to need a full-time maintenance person, full-time office manager? How many phone calls am I getting? How many team meetings do I have during the week? Right. So that's where my direction really shifted. And I was like, okay, before I buy more, why don't I build my capital and build other cash flowing businesses to pay off my real estate?
I like that. I like that approach. Now you got me thinking. No, that's dope. Um, Let me double. So now that I guess once you get these businesses up and running, and you said you're only 30, so it's like you really got a long time to keep figuring this thing out. Like,
Yep. So yeah, and it's like you could build businesses to sell. You could, take these passion projects and put the energy into them that they deserve. And rather than stressing about whether they're making money, you're focusing on, building a business that you love and serving people this thing that means a lot to you, and you want to connect with people that it means a lot to them too. So then the money just comes.
Right.
You're not worried about the money, but the passion behind it is going to bring all the money anyway. Does that make
Mm,
sense?
it makes sense. It makes sense. It makes sense. I like that. So for you now, are you teaching any classes or do you have any like ride-alongs or anything where people can like shadow you or understand, your blueprint a little closer?
So me and Nicole teach a construction management class. So that specifically is in regards to, investors who want to do renovations, build new construction, whether it's fix and flips or rentals, to be able to manage a project successfully, be able to do the budgets and understand zoning and understand getting a project from A to Z.
Hmm.
But, over the next, that's another thing. I'm excited to have this freedom of time. Because I want to start doing some more classes and some more mentorship, more like, rather than being in the niche of construction management, more of like um, getting investors, just like learning to get started, or analyzing deals or building out a plan for their own financial freedom, and it looks different for everybody else. And real estate is so versatile, and there's so many different ways that you can invest in real estate. Like I can't even list all of the different ways that you can do it, and like I was talking the other day, I'm like, there's the way I did it isn't necessarily the path of least resistance. I had to work really hard and I put a lot of time into it, but I didn't have money. So
Right.
someone who has money might be able to find the person who has all the time and do that. Or you can go straight to apartment buildings and do syndications, you can do wholesaling.
Right.
Like there's so many different ways to get into real estate. So real estate's for everybody. So it's a matter of people figuring out how they can get into it.
I love that. Real estate is for everybody, and just pick what might work for you, because whether you want to do construction, be a plumber like KCS Plumbing that's in here,
What's up,
whether you
Keith?
yeah, whether you want to be an electrician, the painter, or even a landscaper. Landscapers are in real estate because they handle the exterior maintenance. So again, there's a lane for everybody, which is dope. Another question for you in regards to the properties that you're purchasing. Can you share just a little bit like on how you're able to find these properties and navigate the waters? Because you're in Philadelphia, only buying property.
Yep. In like a very, very small little pocket. Like for a long time, I could walk to every project that I had. I didn't, but
Okay.
I could, like uh, some days, like when I would go for a walk with the dog, I'd pop into a property that I was working on and make sure the lights were off and the doors were locked and stuff. But I was in Strawberry Mansion within like, from Oxford to Diamond Street, from 29th to 33rd. I
Right.
stayed right in this little pocket. I ventured all the way over the bridge recently to Parkside, which is a
Okay.
6-minute drive, but
You're on Broad.
yep.
You got one of those 3-story one of those big ones.
Yeah. Yep.
Okay.
That's the 5 unit. I'm gonna try to think
Nice.
how to charge my phone while we're doing this. I thought that like you could Instagram live from the web browser, but you can't.
No. Yeah, you got to do
So
it from your phone.
but one of if anyone's ever heard me talk ever, I always talk about networking and how it's like the most important thing in business. And anyone you talk to, you gotta tell them what you're doing or what you want to do. You got to get into these rooms with people who are doing the thing. And I credit like all of my success to networking. Before I even got started, I was like meeting other investors in the neighborhood that I wanted to invest in.
Okay.
And every single one of the properties that I bought came from one of them. Every single one of them.
From another investor.
Mm-hmm.
Nice. So they would sell their
They,
portfolio to you.
yep. Or another thing is like, you figure out what you want, right? So I wanted to buy in Strawberry Mansion. I made sure everyone knew that. So when someone found a deal in Strawberry Mansion, who was the first person that they'd call, So like
Right.
let people know, like if you're working like whatever neighborhood it is, whatever block it is, make sure everyone on the block knows that when grandma's ready to sell, who they're gonna call. you know,
Right.
and that will happen. So that's honestly the best way. There's a lot of developers and investors in Brewery Town. You know, they took a different direction than I did, and they started. So they went from like doing a flip to building a whole like a whole big company where they had like, you know, 6 partners, and they had a bunch of full-time employees and project managers, and started building apartment buildings. So when they had a single family flip opportunity, they weren't thinking about that anymore. But they're like, I
Right.
know Julie is still doing that, and I'm comfy here. You know, I want an apartment building. That like for a while, I was like, you guys have that. You know, this is my lane, and I there was a handful of deals that came straight from like one developer that just went into a different direction.
No, but I mean, we talked about that with Janelle the other day about, like you said, when you have these relationships, but imagine having relationships with people that are stronger than you, because, you know, if they give you crumbs, their crumbs eventually add up to $1 million.
Mm-hmm.
They do it in one shot, you're doing it in 3 or 4 shots, but you're still getting there. So, you
Yep.
know, being humble enough too is also just putting yourself out there to reach those achievements. So I think that's another dope concept that you're using.
Absolutely.
Um,
Instagram.
yeah, we need some of those wholesalers jump in our DM and send us some deals.
Right?
I'm looking for deals now. I need one more buy and hold and one more flip so I can get my 2022 started.
Yeah. And one thing that I was doing, I would walk around Strawberry Mansion and I'd call the number on all the bandit signs because I
Would you?
knew from the seminars that they were wholesalers. You know, like regular people driving down the street don't know that. But I'm like,
Right,
I know you got a little inventory.
right,
If your phone number is plastered around this neighborhood,
right. Send me
and
something.
yeah, I got a few deals, and at least got on buyers on their buyers list. You
Right.
know, call all the wholesalers that I could find. You know, put me on your list. This is what I'm looking for. When you hear Strawberry Mansion, call me first. I got you. You know.
I like that. I honestly, I didn't think about that because I honestly get mad when I see them. Like, come on, man. Like, y'all
You're
in
like,
my,
that's tacky and ugly, but
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 they
you
are doing the
probably
work
get
that
some
I
phone
want to
calls.
do. So I definitely, I like that. I like that. So for you now, I guess, are you still like intense into like the the mental improvement with like the Eric Thomases and the motivational speakers? Like, what do you do now to keep your motivation going and to keep you inspired to keep chasing your dreams?
It's really funny how the evolution of, you know, the mindset and the spirit over years. So like what I needed and what served me well at that time was like aggressiveness. And
Mm-hmm.
now it's like what serves me best is like gentleness. Because I think that so much of me is aggressive that like today, you know, in order to um, you know, be balanced, I'm like kind of going in the opposite direction a little bit, and like finding like prioritizing slowing down and prioritizing um you know, taking care of my body and resting, and you know, saying no to things. Like when I got started, I did not say no to a thing.
Right.
There's no saying no. You know, I'm like, I don't know, you know, where I'm going, so I'm just gonna say yes to everything and then see
Right.
where I land. And now it's like, um, you learn a lot by doing that. You learn a lot about what isn't for you by saying yes to things too. So you know, I am still big on like mindset and like you know, inspirational, you know, leadership. It just looks so different today.
Okay. And do you have any like your favorite top 3 books that you've read, you know, from like when you first started or now outside of Rich Dad Poor Dad?
So my other favorite book is called Creating Money. So these are just 2 books that were absolutely pivotal, life changing for me. So I think of like Rich Dad Poor Dad being the thing that got me into the game, and creating money, getting me onto the path of, you know, financial freedom in the direction of like what serves me and like what my highest joy is. So rather, and like kind of prioritizing, chasing what is in alignment with my like
Or value.
spirit and not necessarily money,
Okay.
because then the money comes, right? And
Mm-hmm.
that's what creating money is all about. It's like, in a sense, like the idea of abundance over scarcity, and like changing your mindset from a scarcity to abundant. And also like it's kind of like law of attraction-y, you know, and
I know what you mean.
like so when you want something, it's not the thing that you want, it's the essence of the thing. So you start thinking about, okay, like i don't want I don't want necessarily $1 million. I want the feeling that $1 million will bring. So what does that look like?
Right.
That's the thing that I want. The
Okay.
feelings, right?
Right.
So it's just kind of like those are two things. Like Rich Dad put me on the track, and creating money like redirected me on the same road.
Okay.
That makes sense.
I like that. All right. So
What else?
go.
Go ahead.
No, no, no.
I don't think I have anything else when it comes to
The book.
books right now.
Okay. So do you have a date set for your next class or when your next event will be?
February. Every
Okay.
Saturday in February we do it.
2022.
Yep.
Okay. So for those of you who want to learn construction management and just construction management, right?
Yes.
Okay, so that'll be February 2022. Is there a waiting list out yet?
Not yet. So I had to get with Nicole, and we'll launch,
Set it up.
pre-sale.
Okay. All right. Well, please send it to me so I can share it out. If my schedule permits, I might even sign up for it at the time. So let me know. If not, I'll share it with the good folks. But definitely dope. Did we miss anything, or anything you think you want to let the people know, or any like gem you're like, yo, if I knew this when I first got started, you know, I'd be there a lot sooner, or if I knew this, it probably wouldn't have been as hard.
I mean, the biggest thing is like putting yourself in a different circle, like putting yourself around people who have the same goals as you, who are gonna like level you up. That's a big ticket item right there. Yeah, that's the biggest one. And then just working through any fear or insecurities that you have about getting started.
That's a trigger word right there when you say insecurities. We don't like talking about those. You look on Instagram, everybody's confident and winning all day, every day.
Not me. I always share about it. It's like, nope, it's like, oh, you make it look easy. I'll tell you, it's hard. You could do it, but it's hard.
Okay. Now, I like that. And that's another reason why even like when you said about the circle. So, a circle or lining yourself up with the right people. That's why we're doing the events that we're doing. So October 30th, again, if you're trying to find your tribe, if you're trying to find your family for your growth, whether you're looking to do stocks, crypto, real estate, trucking, the community is there. Again, just put yourself in the room. You're not necessarily paying to get all the answers, but you're paying, again, to get your process and figure out what it is you don't know. So again, if you put yourself in the room, October 30th, the link is in my bio, the link has been pinned. One thing I can promise you, you're gonna figure it out. And it's not gonna be as hard because, again, you're gonna have the people that want to see you win. And I mean, you hit it on the head earlier when you said the people I started with, or the people that I cared about most that didn't see my vision, it kind of slowed you up in the beginning. So it's like, look, we get that. We're giving you the tribe and the people that are going to encourage you to win. So again, if you can attend on October 30th at the Crown Plaza, hit the link in my bio. We love to see you there.
This is a costume party. Bold move doing it on the 30th. I'm showing up in a costume. I don't know.
Hey, we'll make sure we'll give you a prize. Best costume prize.
I'm not afraid to show up, be the only one in a costume.
Hey, it's real estate, so nothing surprises me.
Right.
I just had not an argument, but I had a tenant reach out to me before we got on the live, and she's complaining about her heat not working. And I'm like, who's turning the heat on? It's like 80 degrees outside right now.
What?
She's like, oh, I'm like, that's why the heater's not working, because it's hot. The heater's not going to kick on. It's hot. It only works at certain temperatures. What do you want it to do?
Oh my goodness.
You
Really
know, so
funny.
doing this real estate, it'll turn you, and like you said, it turns you into a different person over time, and you adjust. And you learn what you like, you don't like, and what you thought you wanted for your initial vision, and what you thought your goals were, and you realize like those goals were crazy. Like, this is what I really enjoy doing. So
But the only way to figure that out is by getting started.
Can you say it again? Can you say it again?
Just gotta get started.
So if you guys are guessing or trying to figure out, or just stop.
It's
just
like you'll never know enough. And that was one thing, that was a big thing to digest before I got started, because I always felt like I didn't know enough to get started. And then I heard someone say that you're never gonna know enough. Like if that's where you're at, I'm like, there's so many books, there's so many different things to know. I still don't know everything about real estate. I feel like I know this much in the grand scheme of things,
Right. Well, I'll even say, if you get started, people are more willing to help you if you actually get in the ring or start doing something, because they have something to help you with. But if you keep asking me a bunch of questions, and they're questions that don't go anywhere, eventually I'm going to stop answering the phone.
I was so close to making a post today and being like, for all y'all who slide in my DMs and ask me how I get started, you better be on this live. But like, if you slide in my DMs, you're like, hey, I like ran into this issue, I need help, I'm here for it. I want to see everybody win. But if you're saying like, how'd you get started, go on YouTube, dude. Like
how I got started has nothing to do with how you'll get started. But please, take action and get started. A question just came in. They want to know, how do you get your subs, and what helps you determine if a sub is a good sub for you? And I think you talked earlier when you said about the respect and wanting to have the same vision as you to win.
I mean, a big thing, again, is like your network, right? So like, we're both buying property, we're both going to come into the same issues. I have an issue, I might hit you up and be like, hey, you got someone for this? What was your experience like? It was good? Cool. And like, I had a really good experience with a subcontractor recently, and like, I know he owns a dump truck. He it doesn't have a trash company. He just has it as part of his, arsenal. And I was like, I got this monster pile of trash in front of my building that someone dumped. Do you have your truck out? He's like, I'll be there in an hour. And like, also I have someone who's like, I need a GC. And finally I'm like, I got a guy. Like, he drops everything and shows up for the people who take care of him, And like, it's all word of mouth, and like, Instagram's big. I'm simple. I'm a millennial. I use Instagram for most things, People are like, you have a website? I'm like, go to my Instagram.
My website and business card is my Instagram.
What's your phone number? Send me a DM.
Once I'll check your page and determine if we can communicate on a regular.
Right. Once you accept that follow request, let me see.
Right. That Instagram, those first 2-3 pages are important. If you say you're going to be in real estate, even if you're not in real estate, post real estate things, because people will believe you, or at least think that, you're trying to go in that direction. But if you're posting 911 Philly and after school fights and stuff like that, nobody's going to take you serious. Nobody. So, again, I love that. your Instagram is basically it's your portfolio before you get the portfolio.
Yep. Exactly.
Nah, so again, Julia, we definitely thank you. Salute to you. I'm wishing you nothing but success. And I didn't know you were 30. I was thinking in my mind, well, how old? But I didn't want to ask. I know I'm not supposed to. So, you know, definitely salute to you. I'm looking forward to seeing your journey continue to grow and blossom. And we're gonna have to get you on our blueprint panel for 2022 when we do the next one.
Yeah, I'd love that. But it was so
Definitely.
much fun. Thanks for having me.
Thank you. So if those of you, please follow Julia at Brick House Builders. Is there underscore in there or just Brick House
Nope,
Builders?
just Brick House Builders. I got in
Brick,
early with the good hat, with the good, what's it called? Name.
well, definitely follow Julia at Brick House Builders. And then don't forget 2022 for those of you who want to learn how to GC your projects and manage a project from start to finish. She is going to be having classes with Nicole Purvey February every Saturday, right?
Every Saturday in February.
Every Saturday in February. And again, if you don't have your tickets for October 30th, it's going to be a dope event. We literally, the network you are looking for, the questions that you have, they're going to be in the room October 30th. The investment blueprint in Delaware at the Crown Plaza. The list of speakers is going to be great. And the other part to it is we're giving you the people that we also do business with in regards to trades, funding, credit, business credit, you name it, all in one room. So again, you don't have to guess anymore. I mean, Julia, if you could have, like, we went to those events and before those dig events, and they would only give you a little bit, and then you'd have to wait a month or two for the next event to get the rest of it.
Yep.
Yes, Brick House Builders. Yes, that is her IG. Brick House Builders. No underscores, no funny symbols, nothing. Just Brick House Builders.
The OG.
Yes. So again, thank you. I look forward to meet you in person at some point, and definitely keep doing your thing. Definitely salute to you.
You too. Thank you so much.
Thank you, and you'll see this probably next week sometime on my YouTube. So
Cool.
we'll get it. I'll get my my admin to send it to you so you know what's up there, and then however you got to take it.
Awesome.
Thank you.
All right. Good night, everybody.
Have a good one.